How's it going, everyone? My name is Broken Pinky, and today we have made it to the final week of the UBL Invitational. No more Swiss, no more bracket, nothing like that. This is finals. We have battled our way. We've gotten incredibly lucky. We've played well. We've prepped well. And that has led us to this final matchup, a rematch against the Fat Rats. One of my best friends in this league, one of my best building partners throughout this journey. And, yeah, probably the player we had the best set against in terms of a viewer standpoint. I loved our Week 2 set. We went back and forth the whole time. Barely squeaked out a 2-1 victory, and Rat is coming back with a vengeance. Now, before we go into the matchup, I think I just want to give a bit of context about what is going on, or about how this, came to be. Obviously, last week I beat Canner to earn my spot into finals. Rat squeaked out a 2-1 win over Winda to take that spot. And, me and Winda have been really good building partners this season. I was hoping to face him against finals. But, Rat is here instead, and obviously Rat wants redemption. I believe Rat and I have played 3 sets before this, and all 3 of them I have won, but they all went to game 3. So Rat and I are incredibly, close competitors, and we've both kind of been on the come up. Rat and myself are probably the 2 best players in this league that have not won a season of UBL. And so to see both of us in finals vying for our first title, I think is kind of poetic. Because Rat has just had this big, he's played in UBL since the beginning. I think he made finals back in season 1. And he's had another finals appearance since then. He hasn't gotten it done either time, but I think he's hoping for third time being the charm. And I'm in my first finals. I don't have the same season, same story that Rat does, but I have heart. And I have luck on my side. So let's dive into this matchup one more time. Mega Metagross, so terrifying. Hits like a truck, super duper fat. Can be used both fast and slow. And loves support from Iron Valiant, which can provide great coaching support. Moonblast is a great click into my team. And it can do any kind of supportive things it wants to do. Torn T is a phenomenal Tailwind setter and attacker with Bleak and Storm. Plus, last time he just threw us off guard with Scarf, so we have to keep in mind, Torn has a lot of set variety between what item wants to run between Scarf or Covert Cloak, or Resist Berry or a Sash or what have you. Brute Bonnet is pretty annoying in my team. Even though I have a fair amount of Spore immunities through my Bulu and my Magmortar, it's still annoying if things are put to sleep, so I need to find a good way to navigate around that, and obviously Rage Powder Redirection is annoying, and it's just so bulky that it's very hard to one-hit KO, even with the quad effective move. Garchomp was definitely the biggest roadblock in our last game, so I definitely want to take into account that Garchomp. Assault Fest with coaching support was nightmarish, but I think Rat is looking to switch it up. Rotom Watch was kind of understated in our last set, but it cannot be oversaid how truly hard it hits my team if I don't have Dragapult or Tapu Bulu waiting in the wings. Everything else just gets whacked by the combo of Hydro Pump and Thunderbolt. So I need to be really careful, plus I can burn all my guys, and it's just really fat as well. A lot of Rat's team is really bulky, and that's going to be really hard for my more offensive team to punch through. Dusk Noir opens up a fun Trick Room dimension, which could allow Brute Bonnet to be even more annoying. And, the speed dynamics in this battle are very important, so if Rat wants to use Trick Room to gain the speed control, that could be devastating. Torracat is not amazing in this matchup, but it is worth noting that it is a fake-out user that is faster than Blastoise. So if I leave Sneasler on the bench like I did last time, then things can get very dicey. Plus the Intimidate, Parting Shot, it just has a nice little bag of tricks. And Licky Licky is just here. So, as for what I'm expecting this season, or for this match, I'm pretty sure Rat has not brought Licky Licky or Dusknoir to a single game all season. Last time we played, he brought his top 6, and I brought, I believe it was Blastoise, Dragapult, Crook, Kilowattrel, Bulu, and Magmortar. So there are some adjustments that I feel like both of us need to make. Last time I went with a very Tailwind-centric game plan, and I realized very quickly that I can't guarantee to get Tailwind up if I'm fighting a Quick Guard Valiant plus a Scarf Tornadus. So going into this time, I decided to change up my approach just a little bit. But yeah, I think that's enough dilly-dallying. Let's get into the real meat and potatoes of this team. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And these are all 5 of the teams that I've used in this invitational. let's look at finals. First up, Blastoise. Fake Out, Dark Pulse, Ice Beam, Protect, same 4 moves, very similar EV spread. Mega Blastoise has been my rock throughout this season, and it's no different in this finals. It is such a good Fake Out user. It hits incredibly hard with Dark Pulse and Ice Beam, very bulky, good speed tier. This speed tier allows me to outrun Metagross after an Electro Web, and I went a little bit faster than last time just to account for an adjustment of Rat going with the speed creep. So, yeah, Blastoise, I mean, it's been my consistent ride or die Pokemon throughout this league. My favorite Pokemon I've used in doubles draft. I want to give it one last good showing before Champions. Tapu Bulu is here with a different set. Last time I ran the Focus Sash item, but this time I'm running Life Orb. Same 4 moves, Horn Leech, Close Combat, Stone Edge, and Protect, but with a lot more defense investment. Still a good amount of attack, and no speed. We're going to be going with a very slow Bulu here. The goal of this spread, I believe, is to live a Bullet Punch after Life Orb Recoil from Max Attack Adamant Metagross. And the Life Orb damage is huge. The damage boost allows me to OHKO, Tornadus Therian with Stone Edge if it's no bulk. And it kind of has to be no bulk in order to outrun my Sneasler, which is a threat that, you know, while it didn't come last week, he has to prepare for. It is so scary if you don't prepare for Sneasler. So, Bulu is just going to be hitting incredibly hard. CC is going to hit the Brute Bonnet even harder than it did last time. And Horn Leech is going to allow me to punch through stuff like that Garchomp, like that Valiant. That was, you know, pretty bulky before, but now with the added Life Orb damage, it's going to be insane. Kilowattrel is making a return here with a bit of a bulkier spread. I believe the spread lives 2 Icy Winds from Valiant, and then the rest is in speed and special attack. Same 4 moves, same item, Tailwind, Thunderbolt, Electro Air Slash with Covert Cloak, and still having that wind power to get the charge boost off of both Bleak and Storm and Icy Wind, as well as our own Tailwind. Now, my only Pokemon substitution this time is Klefki. Kishibe has been so crucial in the last 2 weeks, and I'm running it back for a 3rd time. We have Foul Play, Reflect, Trick Room, and Safeguard. Klefki was very close to making the cut for the first team. I dropped it for Dragapult at the last second, and that won me the set. But after the last set, I realized that Crocodile was really not doing much. So I brought Klefki along to open up a Trick Room mode, because last time Rat ignored Trick Room entirely, and I'm betting on him doing that again. And if I get Trick Room up, my Blastoise and my Tapu Bulu hit incredibly hard, as well as my Magmortar, which we'll get to in a second. Foul Play and Dazzling, like, I definitely totaled the moveset here. Foul Play, incredibly strong into the Metagross, good into the Garchomp, okay everything else, compared to Dazzling Gleam, which has good consistent chip. But that Metagross is such a threat that I think hitting it with Foul Play is worth it. Reflect is obvious for the physical attacks, and Safeguard is here just for that Brute Bonnet. I couldn't afford to run Safety Goggles this time on any Pokemon once again, so I went with the Mental Herb to stop Taunts and Safeguard to stop Spore. This again could have been Dazzling Gleam, but I thought Safeguard was just a little bit more valuable just to really shut down that Brute Bonnet, to make it be like, okay, Rat can only bring the Brute Bonnet to 1 game, otherwise Klefki's here to stop it. We are running back Specs Dragapult here. Draco Meteor, Shadow Ball, Flamethrower, U-Turn, same set, I believe. I might have Flamethrower over Fire Blast last time. I don't remember. A bit more defense EVs. Just to, you know, I have less speed, so I put it into defense. But modest Dragapult with the choice specs just hits incredibly hard. Clear Body to stop Parting Shot, and also did not reveal my set too early. And I didn't have a need for the other abilities. But Specs Draco is a very good click on the lead, and Specs Shadow Ball is a very good cleanup measure if that Brute Bonnet is down and everything else is chipped. Last up, we are running Magmortar again with the Vital Spirit, Truca Berry. Same EVs, same moves as last time, except we have Scorching Sands over the Will-O-Wisp. I thought that just having Scorching Sands would be a bit more valuable here to hit. What was it going to hit again? I forget. Oh, to hit the Torracat. I was worried about the Torracat. I didn't want to be completely walled by Torracat, so I have the Magmortar. I can still fish for burns with the Scorching Sands and the Heat Wave. It's not as reliable as Will-O-Wisp, but this guy is more, you know, focused on doing damage, which I know sounds weird with the more defensive spread, but hey, it's still going to do pretty decent damage with Heat Wave, because Rat has a pretty fire weak team. But yeah, that is the squad. I have 3 main, like, lead game plans, and they all revolve around Blastoise. It's either Blastoise with Kilowattrel for Tailwind, Klefki for Trick Room, or Dragapult for early breaking. So, let's get into the sets. Rat brings the same 6 Pokemon as he did last time. So that is something nice to go off of. But, you know, sets could be different. I just need to figure out how it's all going to shake out in due time. So, Also, shoutouts to Winda for being my GOAT in testing. Him and I really worked on this matchup. We went back and forth a lot on a lot of modes, but we thought that Dragapult and Blastoise was our best mode for game 1. So, we lead with Blastoise and we lead with Dragapult. And we see Val and the Garchomp lead. So, there's a few things that can happen. Oh yeah, also the Valiant gets booster speed. So, Valiant is threatening to Moonblast Oko my Dragapult. That's number 1. Blastoise is threatening Fake Out, but Valiant could be Quick Guard once again, and that'd be bad. Valiant is also Blastoise is also threatening both Pokemon with Ice Beam, and Garchomp is threatening Dragapult with a Dragon move. So, essentially, this is very spooky. My Dragapult is under a lot of danger, but also, I get a pretty free Draco Meteor into the Garchomp slot, and there's only the Metagross wants to switch in, and that's still taking pretty heavy damage. So, it's weird. It's hard. The nice thing about Specs Draco is that it still Oko's Assault Vest Chomp, so I still want to go for that play. So what I decided to do is I decided to go for a Fake Out and a Draco Meteor. I Fake Out the Valiant, and I Draco Meteor the Rotom. And Rotom barely lives on 4%. A little bit unfortunate that it survives, but that was probably a calc for it to live. And it's going to eat back up a Citrus Berry. Valiant's going to flinch. So going into this turn 2, I'm still threatened by Moonblast. I do want to switch my Dragapult out. And Rotom is definitely scary. I would love to get it off the field as soon as I can, as it's threatening a good amount of damage, even if it's not a boosting item. It still hits my team super effectively, and I don't like Blastoise being alive is huge in this matchup. So I decided to swap. I'm gonna bring in Klefki nice and early, as we see the light screen and Volt Switch comes out to bring the Garchomp back. So that tells me that this is probably dual screens Val. Like, just seeing the light screen. I don't see why you'd bring light screen and not reflect. Brad and I talked a lot about the matchup after last week, and we agree that he needs to respect Bulu more. So I think he's going to bring reflect and respect the Bulu. But light screen is bad news. You'll see I went for a Dark Pulse into the Rotom slot, and Garchomp comes in. This also reveals that Rotom is faster than my Blastoise, which is worth knowing. But yeah, Garchomp takes some chip. And also, this reveals that this Garchomp is not Assault Vest. So in my mind, I'm thinking it's either Yachi Berry or Haban Berry. Probably not Haban Berry, seeing as it's swap turn 1, but Yachi Berry is definitely on the table. As with the light screen up, Dark Pulse should not be doing that much damage to an Assault Vest Garchomp. So I have a few plays, but one is definitely more obvious and more enticing, and that is just to go for Reflect and Ice Beam. And so I just go for Reflect and Ice Beam. Rat goes for the Quick Guard, calling out a Thunder Wave on my Klefki, I believe. But I just go for Reflect Ice Beam, I live the Stomping Tantrum, and the Garchomp is down, which is super nice, and the Rotom's going to come back in. So, early game 1, I got a nice KO. I didn't lose too much for it. Klefki's the only one that's taking damage, and I've knocked out the Garchomp and done a lot of damage to this Rotom. But we've revealed that we both are running screens. So now the next order of business for me is to get some speed control online. And that just means I need to stay with Klefki, click Trick Room, and hope that I can deal with this Rotom beforehand. So Moonblast goes to my Blastoise, gets a special attack drop, which sucks, but I dodge Hydro with my Klefki. Rotom lives a Dark Pulse, and Trick Room goes up, but this might be better for me, honestly. So Trick Room is up, 3 turns of Reflect, 2 turns of Light Screen. This Rotom is in range of Foul Play. So that's nice. And I'm assuming this Valiant just wants to click another Moonblast into my Blastoise. So had the Dark Pulse picked up, Rat's last Pokemon would have been revealed. And that's good and bad. And that's just kind of, yeah, it's good and bad for me. I don't know. It's a weird situation. There's pros and cons to both. But what's nice is that I don't have to worry about the Val's attack, and I can just focus on getting rid of this Rotom. So I go hard Magmortar, revealing my last Mon. Foul Play the Rotom to knock it out, and we see another Moonblast go into my Magmortar and get another special attack drop, which is annoying, but it's whatever. It makes up for the Hydro miss with the double drops. Metagross is revealed to be his last Pokemon. And I have a pretty free play of just going for Foul Play and Heat Wave into that Metagross. I'm guaranteed to get a lot of good damage onto that guy. And I can figure out its set. His Foul Play does damage based on the attack. We see Mega Metagross. Foul Play only does 40%. and Heat Wave does another 20 and gets a burn, which is super unfortunate for Rat. We were able to swallow the Stomping Tantrum due to our Shuka Berry and the burn, and Moonblast gets a crit, but doesn't do much more. So, we learned a lot about this Metagross. First, it is bulky. Even to be taking, -1 Heat Wave through Light Screen, 20% is insane. This thing is fat on the special side. Second thing we learned, low attack stat. Foul play to a max attack Metagross should be doing 60%. That did 40. So this is not a very strong Metagross. It's very bulky. And third thing we learned is that burning the Metagross is really, really nice. So I have no reason to not just repeat the plays here. Just go for another foul play and Heat Wave. Actually, I switched into Blastoise to be a little bit safer as Light Screen wears off. Heat Wave leaves Metagross at 4%. Stomping Tantrum is not going to do much. Moonblast is not going to pick up the knockout, and Metagross goes down to burn. And now 4 against 1 in the last turn of Trick Room. This Valiant has no hope of winning this game. I just go for Ice Beam and Scorching Sands, and it's guaranteed to be over. So, game 1, we were able to win pretty solidly. Give me just 1 second. Yeah, game 1 we win solidly. I feel good about it for sure. I feel good about the Trick Room plan. Dragapult did big damage to the Rotom in the early game, which really mattered. Just putting it that low in range of the Dark Pulse Foul Play was just super helpful. So now, going into game 2, I'm thinking, how do I want to adjust? Because I know Rat probably wants to adjust, and there's actually a way that he can call it the Blastoise Dragapult lead. But my plan kind of always was lead Blastoise Dragapult game 1 and try to go hard Trick Room in game 2 and see how that works out. And we can adjust for game 3 as we needed. Oh my god, the sound is on. There we go. So, I lead Blastoise and Klefki as Rat leads Val and Bonnet. Now I know for sure that this Val has Quick Guard, and this Bonnet obviously has Spore. So, I actually have a pretty safe play that allows me to sort of sidestep the obvious play that Rat wants to make, which is either Quick Guard or Light Screen and go for Spore. So what I do is I Mega Evolve. Oop, there's the speed. I go for a Mega Evolve and I Ice Beam the Bonnet and I go for Safeguard. So this immediately does a lot of damage to the Bonnet and I block Spore, which is huge. Yeah, that's a really good turn 1. And now on turn 2, I have a pretty free play of just running it back. I go for another Ice Beam and I get my Trick Room up. Rat does get his Light Screen up, which is good to know. But Trick Room is going to go up. I still have more turns of Safeguard. And essentially this Bonnet is going to go down next turn. So it's about getting what extra credit I can. And I decide I don't want to sacrifice momentum. I'm going to switch hard into Bulu, which is my new attacker for game 2. Bonnet gets a Sucker Punch on the way out. And Ice Beam is going to knock out the Brute Bonnet. And Valiant goes for the Reflect. So we see both screens popped. And Metagross comes hard in. So this position is very scary. Very, very scary, because, I brought Bulu here thinking that it'd be super good into the Garchomp and into the Rotom. But Metagross is not a good matchup for it at all. And this is making me regret kind of bringing it to this game. I should have brought Magmortar, and I mean, I know for game 3 now, but this is a really rough spot if I want to win in 2. Because Bulu is a Bullet Punch, and Rat might assume that he knocks it out with the Bullet Punch. But other than that, my Bulu's in a lot of danger. And with Reflect Up, I don't do a lot of damage to either Pokemon. I already don't do much, but with Reflect Up, I'm not even breaking half. And with Light Screen up, I don't have the easy Dark Pulse into Metagross to knock it out like I would before. So I'm kind of just forced to click attacks and hope for the best. I don't really see a clean way out of this. I decided to just split damage and guarantee I get some damage somewhere. So I go for a Horn Leech into the Val. Reveal that I'm Life Orb, reveal that I'm slow. I go for Dark Pulse into the Metagross. I do under half to both, and Rat reveals Grass Knot! And Moonblast picks up the knockout, so my Blastoise is going to go down in a position where Blastoise should theoretically be living forever. So that's not good. My Bulu is still alive, but my Blastoise goes down really early. So now, I bring in Klefki. My last mon is Dragapult. I cannot bring it in with 3 turns of Trick Room up against a Metagross, especially without Reflect. So I bring in Klefki. And at this point, I make a bit of a mistake. I see the purple screen in front of me, and I think, oh, I see the purple screen in front of me, and I see a ton of text in the top left, and I think, oh, I have Reflect Up. This is so free. I live a Heavy Slam for the Metagross, and then I can just get more chip, and then I kill it in 2 turns. That is not the case. I do not have Reflect Up. I have Safeguard Up. So, Bulu is in a lot of danger. And that is a really bad oversight to have. You'll see Foul Play does nothing to the Metagross. It's 27%. Hornleech doesn't even knock out the Val. And Heavy Slam is going to destroy my Tapu Bulu as Moonblast hits the Klefki. So, bad turn. Really bad turn. I could have doubled into the Metagross and put it in range of another Foul Play guaranteed. Instead, I split attacks, and I'm really regretting it. And it's still kind of hard to see how many turns of Reflect and Light Screen are left. And this is my last round of Trick Room, and Dragapult's going to come in. And I'm just kind of forced to hope for the best. Like, in this position, I just kind of have to hope that something works out for me. Then maybe he thinks that Bullet Punch will knock me out, or that'll Heavy Slam the wrong slot. I still don't know the last Pokemon. And, like, at least my Dragapult Shadow Ball is going to outrun the Valiant in Trick Room. But Klefki can't damage it because it doesn't have Dazzling Gleam. And I can't set up Reflect because I need to try and get every bit of damage I can. Because if I set Reflect up and Valiant Moonblast my Dragapult, I'm going to lose. I can't beat Garchomp in a 2v1. I can't beat Garchomp Val in a 2v1, or 1v2, whatever. So, at this point, I'm conceding that the game is probably lost. And Klefki does what Klefki does best, and give me a bit of hope with that critical hit. And Shadow Ball is going to knock out the Valiants. And at this point, it is all but over. I set up Reflect. Shadow Ball is going to hit the Garchomp for 56%. Scale Shot is going to be enough to knock out my Dragapult, getting a pretty, good roll and a good crit as well. But that -1 defense plus the Reflect going down means that one last Foul Play after surviving the Stomping Tantrum is going to be enough for Klefki to seal the deal here and win us the set 2-0 against Rat and win us the UBL Invitational. So, yeah, that is it. We are able to win our first UBL title in the Invitational in the haxiest way possible. Klefki just wanted it more, I guess, and that critical hit on that Metagross sealed the deal. And you could see my shock. I was like, what is going on? I've been so lucky all season that Klefki has been such an agent of chaos the entire way through. All those T-Wave pairs against Canner, that help in the speed dynamics and the dual screens against Gig. Klefki really surged in the last 3 weeks, and it is the last Mon remaining as, it locks us the championship. So with that, we win our first UBL title. I win my first doubles draft league, and I could not be happier. I'm really happy with my prep. I think I definitely could have played better. I think bringing Bulu to that game 2 was a blunder. I shouldn't really be bringing Bulu to this matchup unless I'm expecting Tornadus, because its lack of damage into Metagross, especially behind Reflect, is so hard to deal with. But, we got it done. I don't really know what else there is to say. And just as a last final parting gift, I did compile the stats of all of our Pokemon throughout the season. We can see our kill leader was our Sneasler, 11-1. Stellar performances against Kathy, Gig, and Canner. I also broke it down week by week here at the bottom. So here's our final stats, semi-stats, week 3, week 2, week 1. And I just added them all up for this. Our number 2 kill leader was Blastoise, which honestly surprised me. But Blastoise, it's been such a good Pokemon. Dragapult and Bulu at 6 apiece. Klefki at 5, which really surprised me. Kilowattrel and Magmortar at 4, and Crook at the bottom at 1. Our death leaders being Blastoise and Kilowattrel is not surprising to me at all. They were my main supportive pieces that came to just about every week. Yeah. Blastoise brought to 12 out of 12 games. Let's just pause on that for a second. Cut the music. Blastoise came to 12 games out of 12. I played 12 games this season. Blastoise was present in all of them. Like, you can look at this stat and see, like, oh, okay, Blastoise, Polt, and Bulu were brought to every set. And, Polt was brought to, onto the Pokeball, whatever. Blastoise came to every single game. This Pokemon is insane. Like, there's not a single game or board state where Mega Blastoise does not help. It's crazy how good this Pokemon is. Like, it's not real. Polt at 7, and then we have a few guys at 6. Bulu at 5, and Crocodile and Magmortar bringing up the rear here. And 9 times I led Blastoise. By the way, the 3 times I didn't lead it were week 1. Week 1, I did not lead Blastoise. I brought it in the back all 3 games. In 4 out of 5 sets, I led Blastoise to every single game. It is so good. It is so good. Kilowattrel was a solid lead. Dragapult was a great lead. I realized at the end of the season just to threaten a ton of damage off rip. A number of times brought in the back. Yeah, Crook was only brought 3 games. All 3 times as the lead, never brought in the back. Kilowattrel was only brought in the back once, which, makes sense. Yeah, and you can just kind of see these stats. I decided to bring it, break it down more. Blastoise, every single time it was brought to a set, it came to the game. It was never left on the bench once. And then everything else was fairly static. Bulu and Magmortar a bit more. And then I did a personal rating out of 10 for each of my 8 Pokemon. If it isn't obvious, Blastoise is a 10 out of 10. That mon is nuts. Sneasler 9 out of 10. Polt 9 out of 10. Fairly self-explanatory. Crook at a 4. I was experimenting with Crook. I wasn't sure how it would do. And as you can see, it didn't really do much. It was brought to team preview against Rat. It was brought in the set against Kathy. And it was useful against Kathy, but it only went 1-1. And it's just hard to make it work with this typing. It's just really hard to make it work. Especially in matches where on paper Intimidate would be really good. It's just hard to bring Crook. But it would have come against Winda at least. So, I mean, if I fought Winda, that would have been there. Kilowattrel's a 5. It felt kind of like a necessary evil on this team. I didn't really think it was anything too special. It is just a fast tail at the end of the day. And being faster than Neufern and Torn is nice. But it's just so frail. Klefki at an 8. I was really sleeping on Klefki the first 2 weeks. I thought it was going to be too passive. I didn't think it would contribute enough. And as soon as I realized, just what it could do in my last 3 weeks, yeah, it just kind of exploded. And it was a defining Pokemon in all 3 of those sets. It is hard to bring, hard to use. You need to make sure you're not passive with the turns it gives you, but if you can take advantage offensively, you're going to love this mon. Bulu at a 7 is definitely the biggest surprise of the season for me. I thought very low of Bulu for most of my draft life and competitive life, just because I think Grass Fairy is such a bad defensive typing, unless you're really fast like Whimsicott. But Bulu really surprised me. It didn't hit every game. It was most useful against Rat and Gig for sure, but it had genuine utility against Canner and Kathy that I did not expect. And just the ability to hit neutral targets so hard with a grassy terrain boosted Woodhammer is really good utility for that. And lastly, Magmortar at a 6. Magmortar and Crocodile are definitely my least used Pokemon. But both Magmortar and Crocodile only came to one matchup. But Magmortar was definitely a lot stronger against Rat than Crook was against Kathy. But yeah, that is the end of the UBL Invitational. The Houston Dracos end up the champions of this tournament. So, shout outs to the squad. Shout outs to Winda for all their help. Shout outs to Rat for playing 2 amazing sets against. I look forward to rematching you in future UBL seasons. Shout outs to Canner for throwing this whole league together. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great day, and I hope you guys, give Pokemon a try. This game is really fun. It's really rewarding. It's fun to get better at. And it's frustrating at times when you get really unlucky, but just use Klefki. But yeah, peace out.